The bye week gauntlets have started in the National Football League, and we are here to talk about it. Sigmund Lammey, Cecil Bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's just merge.
Let's just merge into one. How many times do you get comments from me that are to you?
Yeah.
And how many times? Because I'm called Sigmund a lot.
Yeah.
Take it as a great compliment, Bloom.
They'll say, "Hey, Cecil." It's all right. I try to be gentle. It's great. Just that you know who we are. Let's always remember Adam Schefter. Hello, Cecil and Sigmund. That's something I won't get a chance to say very often.
That's true. The bye week gauntlet. Before we jump into the games, Bloom,
Sure.
How do you best navigate the bye week gauntlet, which starts this week with the Detroit Lions, Tennessee Titans, Las Vegas Raiders, and Houston Texans all on bye?
I think the main thing is not to overvalue 1 week's outcome. Yes, 1 week's outcome may determine if you make the playoffs. Yes, whether you make the playoffs, hey, if you sneak into the playoffs, how many times do we see that number 6 seed in the playoffs that it gets hot to get the number 6 seed, win the championship? So I don't want to say 1 week can't be the difference in your season, because it absolutely can. But see, it's just like when we're drafting, what do we say about bye weeks and drafting? Who cares? Who cares? Just don't even pay attention to it. Just take the players you want. Don't worry about bye weeks. Likewise, I would say when you look at your roster, be open to maybe to taking a 0 in the short bench leagues, depending on who you have to drop, because you're looking at the long-term viability of your team and building an upside to your roster, as opposed to just trying to nibble, like make sure you get whatever points Tyler Conklin will put up at tight end this week for you because TJ Hawkinson's on bye or something like that. So I think you just need to be cautious and weigh short-term versus long-term. And on the flip side, I think that it is very fertile grounds for trading. I think this in dynasty leagues, and if you haven't done a dynasty league, come and join us. The water's fine.
Yeah.
This is about the point 5 weeks in that teams, because remember, we're more than a third into a 13-week, well, it's 14 weeks, I guess. We're still more than a third into a 14-week fantasy football regular season.
And guys get nervous. There's so many nervous guys, not only for the timing of the season, Bloom, but also the buys. Like, buys don't bother me at all. Like you said, don't even worry about it. How many guys do you know that get so nervous at the buy? It's crazy. I kind of laugh at it.
Yeah, and I think that you're getting clarity though of where your team is at. I think if you're 1-4 or 0-5 in a dynasty league, unless you just had some bad breaks and injuries, you're looking to the future. If you're 2-3, you're trying to decide, right? So you can nudge these teams. Go into your standings. If you're 5-0, 4-1, even if you're 3-2 and feel good about your team, go into your dynasty standings. Look at the 1-4 and 0-5 teams. See if they have somebody that they might want to sell off because, someone like Keenan Allen, he's old. He's hurt right now, but I got to get what I can get for him, right? Like making these kinds of deals, putting yourself in the position of the team that's deciding, I'm going to rebuild now. And who would they be looking to unload? And then in redraft leagues, I think the best trade angle is this. Look at teams that are 2-3, 1-4, 0-5. Because in redraft, once the season's over, the season's over. You're not looking to the future. So they probably feel like they have a must-win situation. And if these teams have a DeAndre Swift, an Amon-Ra St. Brown, a Josh Jacobs, a Derrick Henry, Damian Pierce, these players that are on bye this week, you might, if they're in a must-win situation, you might be able to throw one of those package deals. Look at the weak spots on their roster. You might be able to throw a package deal at them and get one of these players that are on bye that can't help them this week because they feel like they're in a must-win situation. And then, as always, throwing out these offers and opening up the trade talks is good because it can lay the groundwork for future trades. So you always are using that as an opportunity. See, so there's a whole show we could do on trading. And we're both nice guys. You're a nice guy, Cecil. You're hard on yourself. And being nice and opening up congenial conversations about trades can lay the groundwork for a trade down the line. And you're always building your relationship with the other teams in your league. You're chatting them up, and you can always ask them questions like, who do you prefer between these two players on my roster? Or if you were going to trade one of these two running backs, which one would you more be open to trading? And it's just a nice way to start these conversations in a non-confrontational, or I'm not trying to checkmate you or fleece you. So this is always, you're always building towards the future.
Well, what's life? Relationships, right?
Yeah, the NFL's relationships. Yeah.
So if you screw, and we had to make rules. There was a certain owner God bless him, a great guy, but he would sorry Joe everybody in the league.
Yeah.
I think he's sorry Joe to every single fantasy GM in our main league, and we ended up having to kick him out. Like we would create rules because he would look for loopholes and he would do trades and he would do deals, and we didn't have any stupid, everyone vote on the trade. We'd have a trade commission.
No,
that trade commission
never do that.
Introduced by him because of him, where we had 3 owners that voted on every trade. And it was somewhat fine. It was better than everyone gets a vote. But either way, it was so bad because you get a reputation. So manage and maintain your reputation.
Yeah. And learn, and again, since we're doing a little mini episode within an episode here, learn the style of your fellow teams in trades, because I'm the type of player that I'll offer a trade that I think probably won't get taken to start the talks. Now, some players that'll turn off and they just won't even engage in any future. They won't negotiate. They won't send a counter. And there are other ones who also think that way, and it starts the dance. It starts the mating dance, right? There are other teams that you better come with your last, best, and final offer first, because if they are insulted or otherwise feel like, come on, I would never take that, then that turns them off to trading with you. So it's all, see, anything in life, it's always good. It's management, right? Learn different styles of people. You have to treat individuals as individuals, and there's always a reward for that.
Always a reward to watching the Audible and just wait for our sleeper of the week. Speaking of reward, Bloom, sleeper of the week. That's coming up at the end of this.
And if you like this talk, like the show in the first 15 minutes, because it'll help us. It'll help get new people into the mix. Hopefully, not too many new people in the chat room though, because we love our chat room.
Yeah, no more chat bots. Go away, chat bots. Damn you. Either way, let's get into this thing because it is Thursday night football. It is Washington Commanders, Chicago Bears, and it's the Commanders now with more Brian Robinson. And with Lammey Brown, you're like, can you do it again? Not 2 touchdowns on 2 catches, but can you be a productive, sleeper of the week? Is Lammey Brown that guy for me? Carson Wentz filling there with footballs? Yeah, maybe. What's that mean for Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel? And I guess we're recording Wednesday morning. We're always watching the health status of Logan Thomas.
Yeah, of course. And Chicago's defense isn't a pushover. They're not necessarily a defense we're going to avoid. So this gives us a good chance to watch Carson Wentz. The mission is to make people want to watch this game, right? The NFL sends us royalty checks. And you get to watch Carson Wentz in a little bit more of a test. He has been more aggressive as a passer. He does have some talent around him. You're going to play Terry McLaurin. You're going to play Curtis Samuel. We're not going to see Jahan Dotson. So Lammey Brown remains a what the heck flex. You see if they get that deep ball going. That's the one thing that was going in this offense, really. It is a 3-way backfield. You could see, it wouldn't shock me. What did we have? 10 snaps, 9 touches for Brian Robinson. It wouldn't surprise me if we see him more like half of the snaps and maybe get up to 15 to 18 touches. He's a what the heck flex this week also. We just get a chance to see him and embrace this story. Gibson and McKissick, this isn't really a McKissick game. You don't expect them to be playing from behind and having to rely on the passing game. In the background, though, hovering over this, Washington, you like Ron Rivera, you root for Ron Rivera, but this is not a team that is going anywhere. Not that now that the NFC East is a power division, they're not going anywhere. And again, we're going to bring this up that if Wentz plays 70% of the snaps, the pick, which should be first half of the round pick, this goes from a 3rd to a 2nd round pick. So when are we going to see Sam Howell? As we watch this game, if we see Wentz struggling, watch the body language. Because remember when Sam Howell scored that touchdown or had that run or something happened in the preseason and the whole team was like, yeah, slap him on the helmet, Does this team want to see Sam Howell? I don't know. I don't want to try to create controversy here, but there's an incentive for the Commanders to pull the plug before they have to give what should be a top 40 or 45 pick for Wentz.
Yeah, so there's that. Keep an eye on that situation and keep an eye on the further development of Justin Fields. Is N'Keal Harry going to play this week? I almost laughed.
He's still in the league?
It's a bye week gauntlet, but you don't need N'Keal Harry.
Yeah.
The Bears could use all the help they can get, all hands on deck. More David Montgomery, a little more Khalil Herbert this week. I know David Montgomery's back. It doesn't mean Herbert goes back to doing nothing. Come on, Chicago. You should know better than that. So from a fantasy standpoint, there's not a whole lot of players I'm going to be starting, but I'll be watching to be sure.
Yeah, Justin Fields, certainly if you were starting, well, I mean, I guess the quarterbacks aren't that great this week that are out, Derek Carr or Jared Goff. You probably weren't relying on them. But if you have to go to him, or Justin Fields is a consideration as a quarterback to Superflex. Again, he had a long scramble for a touchdown, called back by penalty, or else we'd be talking about considering him this week. Maybe it could happen this week. And again, Thursday night, we're going to get a chance to watch him more closely. And you did see, as you mentioned, Cease, greatly favoring Dave Montgomery over Khalil Herbert. And look, Dave Montgomery is a kind of player that leaves it all out on the field. So you understand respect from a new regime, respect now that he's healthy. But Khalil Herbert does have some to offer here. And Montgomery wasn't exactly that efficient running the ball last week. So you want to see maybe if we see a little more Herbert, but Herbert is just someone you're keeping on your bench. Really, just based on how they're handling Montgomery, as excited as we were for Herbert a few weeks ago, now we're looking at Herbert as someone that we just wait. And we'll see if Cole Kmet has a pulse. We'll see if Darnell Mooney gets some chances. A true what the heck flex, because, hey, Mooney is one of the most likely players in any given week to score a 50 or 60-yard touchdown if he just gets a chance. Will they give him some more chances because he can make the high degree of difficulty plays? And my man Joe Wright, my big rival from the Mon Valley Academic League, did confirm indeed, Cease, it was 73-0 that Chicago and Washington played like 1940. So, that's hopefully we'll see a little sepia tone, old footage of that NFL classic.
NFL classic and not so classic 49ers and Falcons. Some transitions are better than others, Bloom. But 49ers and Falcons side of thing, and 49ers, you're just, okay, we already know what you're going to do with Ayuk and Debo. A little more Kittle would be nice. Of course, he's such a great blocker. Was there a meme floating around about Kittle, Bloom? That was like, I think it was from Moneyball. And it was like, he's big, he's fast, he's a great receiver, but he's so good at being a left tackle that we can't throw to him. I think I saw that meme. Either way, memes abound with the 49ers, but we know what they're going to do.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I think, and that really matches a lot of the stuff that I have in my notes here about the 49ers. This is very straightforward. And really, the straightforward part of it is Jeff Wilson running straight forward, right? I mean, he's finding the holes, and he looks like terrific in this offense. They're not missing a beat. You have Tevin Coleman as a what the heck flex, and you see Tevin Coleman, if the game gets out of hand here, probably lowering the ceiling of Deebo Samuel. Why take any more punishment if you don't have to? Deebo Samuel is more like, I don't want to say use in case of emergency, but use in case of need. And if Tevin Coleman can be competent like he was last week, they don't need Deebo Samuel to run the ball in a game that they should be able to control. And you're going to play Deebo because he's awesome, and there's different ways for him to make plays, even if he's not getting that many targets. Ayuk and Kittle are a little tougher. Well, Kittle's a tight end, so you probably have to have somebody that you're clearly. Let's add like Dallas Goedert to the list. Maybe Tyler Higbee with the way that he's been catching passes every week, but you're still going to play Kittle. I mean, in any given week, Kittle could give us one of those 4 for 140 and 2 touchdown games. So be careful benching Kittle. Ayuk is a little tougher. And the variable here, Cease, is the San Francisco defense, because the San Francisco defense has been dominant so far this year, but there's a ton of injuries going into this one. So maybe Atlanta can turn this into a low-scoring game, stay comfortable with the run, not take many chances with Marcus Mariota. And then Ayuk is a little more interesting. Kittle's a little more interesting. But if San Francisco's defense, even shorthanded, shuts down Atlanta, then it's Wilson and maybe a lot of Tevin Coleman in the second half, is everything's on track. So wild, Cease. I mean, we're only a month and a half into the season, not even a month and a half, a month basically. I mean, the season started about a month ago, and we've already had the 49ers lose to the Bears and then lose Trey Lance. But then Jimmy Garoppolo coming in is really just put them right back on track. Remember, this team was basically a play from the Super Bowl last year. We've been to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. So say what you will about Kyle Shanahan, the universe is kind of assisting him and keeping things on the track that he wants things on.
The universe will assist him with a new quarterback next year.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons side, stay tuned for Desmond Ridder. We're going to see Sam Howell before Desmond Ridder. I just have that feeling. Like Arthur Smith, throw it all out the window. Who the hell knows? We're watching the backfield with no Cordell Patterson. Like, how's that going to go? Which Williams is it going to be? Who's got Avery Williams in their lineup this week? Am I right, fellas? Yeah. So, of course, we'll see if Kyle Pitts gets used, and how Atlanta goes is not really how you want your fantasy team to go.
Cecil, you said Kyle Pitts like you were kind of choking on it. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if he plays. If he plays, you maybe give him a chance, but it is a tough San Francisco defense. You have, like you said, Desmond Ridder watch because Marcus Mariota makes this pass offense frustrating. You have this mess in the backfield. I don't know when we're going to see Damian Williams. It doesn't matter. This is a good defense. No, even Drake London, right? What did DJ Moore do in a blowout last week? Do you really have any fear of missing out with Drake London, with or without Kyle Pitts on the field? So, yeah, other than our shining star, Cordero Patterson, this offense is looking like a black hole right now in terms of fantasy. And remember, and this is why it's so hard to get a handle on Arthur Smith, who is another one that's paying attention to what everyone's saying about his team and him. But man, look, Atlanta actually, remember, they should have beaten the Saints. They could have beaten the Rams, and they actually they just need to get the ball back, and they would have had a chance to beat Tampa. So 2-3, more like an 0-5 team, but a team that with a few breaks could be 5-0. I do think San Francisco should humble them this week.
We're going to call this one the Belichick Bowl, right? Is that what we should when we're talking Patriots and Browns? The Belichick Bowl. Well, either way, if you're the Browns and you have designs on being good, this is a game you win at home. But the Patriots side first. Do we still know it's Bailey Zappi? Right? Again, Wednesday morning, like we're recording early. It's like, okay, it's probably going to be Bailey Zappi again. All right. Jacoby Myers, that gives you more comfort in starting him. Ramondre Stevenson, going to be all about him. Damian Harris is going to miss how long? A month? Maybe more. So it's going to be Stevenson, and even more Stevenson. And then we'll see who else gets mixed in this week. But the Patriots are going to want to win with running the ball and having safe, efficient quarterback play from Mr. Zappi.
And it doesn't really matter whether it's Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi in so much that we're going to play Jacoby Myers in this pass offense, and that's it for now. It is going to be a safe, conservative offense, and that's okay with Ramondre Stevenson. Remember, Austin Ekeler and Josh Kelly combined for what last week? Like 220-some yards. So, yeah, you're going to see a lot of Ramondre Stevenson. And because Damian Harris will be back eventually, they can really ride. Like, Stevenson got 26 carries last week, I think. They can really ride him. And you watch Ramondre Stevenson cease, and I can remember when the Patriots took him, and there was a moment that you thought, kind of like they got LeGarrette Blount, but he can catch too, You wondered why when he fell to the fourth round and they snatched him up, you thought, oh, man, this is a perfect Patriots back. And we're getting to see how perfect he is in this offense with that conservative game plan in the passing game. You could see Hunter Henry if there's no Jonnu Smith. If you're looking for a tight end to replace TJ Hawkinson, Darren Waller. You might be looking for a tight end to replace Darren Waller for a while. Maybe Hunter Henry. And, this team is 2-3, but I will say this about the Patriots. You're never going to hear Bill Belichick talk about what they're saying about us or what the expectations are for us.
Right.
They've got their own agenda, and it's on track. And this is going to be a really interesting contrast in matchups because this team is, 2-3, maybe could be 3-2. They were beaten pretty soundly in some of their losses, but we're still in that part of the season where teams are learning who they are. And Cleveland sees this is a team that should be 5-0. There's a lot. They should have beat the Jets, obviously. That was one of the worst bad beats. Right. Last week against the Chargers, they had so many chances to win that game, even though their running defense collapsed. And even the game against Atlanta, well, anytime you lose to this Atlanta team, how did you lose? But at the same time, this New England team is going to be a tough out, could easily send them to 2-4, and really wonder how this early season has got away from them.
Browns side, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, again, rinse, repeat. We know what to do there. David Njoku, not just because tight end's brutal, Bloom, but because of the consistency with which they're using him. David Njoku is your trusted tight end. Okay. Didn't think we would say that, but we are saying that. So that's good. He's always had the talent. Their just usage was always off. Now it's on. So it's on. Keep it on with Jacoby Brissett and watch it all fall apart when that guy returns to the field for quarterback for him. But right now with Brissett, they're playing well.
Yeah, and I think that. So let's do our Bill Belichick simulation, right?
Who are we taking away?
Chubb, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you're just
doing everything.
You're flooding everything. You're run blitzing. You're flooding everything and saying the game is in Jacoby Brissett's hands. Mm-hmm. That's what you got to do. I'm not saying bench Nick Chubb.
And he knows Brissett's game. Like he knows his weakness.
He brought him up. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not saying bench from Nick Chubb. Maybe this isn't a good week for Nick Chubb in DFS, though. Kareem Hunt's interesting because I think that Kareem Hunt becomes a player. Again, if you're Kevin Stefanski, if you're anticipating this, then maybe you do some looks where you have Chubb and Hunt in the backfield at the same time. Remember, how long have we been pining for that? Where Hunt is split out or ends up running a route or otherwise detached from the formation when the defense is compressing everything in to take away Nick Chubb. Or I think you can probably safely play Amari Cooper in this one. You can safely play David Njoku. No big news there. Njoku's had 3 straight good weeks in a row. But again, I think you have to simulate. Bill Belichick is saying, we want the ball in Jacoby Brissett's hands. The more plays where the ball's in Jacoby Brissett's hands, the more chance we have to win maybe even a Donovan Peoples-Jones game. And it's going to be, every time, we saw, for instance, Ben Johnson in his test against Bill Belichick get checkmated and right off the bat. Didn't have the quarterback, didn't have the game plan, didn't have the players. Well, Cleveland's got the players. We'll see if they have the game plan and the quarterback in this one. And the Patriots defense is no slouch here, but you're 3-3 just beat the Patriots. Now you're looking ahead to Deshaun Watson coming back and saying, we're going to be fine. You're 2-4 and you're looking at all these games that slipped away and you wonder, are we losing the chance we have to make an impact this year in an AFC North that isn't as strong as people thought it was going to be?
I usually make fun of those who keep track of what other people are saying about him, except for Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
Because Robert's awesome. He's a good man. And he's got some internal strife to deal with in terms of that front office, like trying to pit him against this quarterback.
Listen to Cecil.
Don't want to say too much, but he's taking the haters and he's taking their quarterback and he's winning games. So Jets and Packers, how many times we look at this game, Bloom, and just kind of chuckle, or feel bad for our good dear friend Chase Stewart? What a man, right? What an incredible bright mind. So we'd feel bad for all the Jets fans out there. Now I'm like, what if they win?
Yeah.
What if they're motivated to win? What if with Breece Hall and a dash of Michael Carter on the, Breece Hall will do all the work, get it to the one, and then Carter will plunge it in. Fine. That's whatever. Okay, what if Garrett Wilson and the flourishing talent that you see there, and Corey Davis and Zach Wilson, Bloom, they could put up a fight. How many times do we say that about the Jets?
They're 3-2. The Jets are not bad. The Jets are getting better. And see, let's take a moment out to say this, all right? When a team is struggling, injuries, if they overcome this, overcome that. Remember, the Jets were down to their 6th-string offensive tackle. We're not making excuses for them, though. There's something brewing here. And I think you have teams going emotionally in opposite directions. So what's this offense going to be? It's going to be the running backs. And Breece Hall is a borderline running back one at this point. Michael Carter should be in as a tech flex. It's a LaFleur offense, right? It's so many ways to connect these things back to Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. The running backs, the running game to set up the passing game. So that makes Zach Wilson a what the heck quarterback one streamer. But it's there. Anytime an offense is scoring a lot of touchdowns like they did last week, it's there for the quarterback to have a big week. And, well, sadly, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, these are all what the heck flex plays. Partially because, again, it's LaFleur versus LaFleur here. Down here in New Orleans.
Spider-Man meme.
The French, yeah, right? The French flows, the flowers. And I'm wearing by the way, I'm wearing my Penguins Stanley Cup champ. Hockey's back. You start working on all those pronunciations. How do you say the new Georgiev? The new
Georgiev, yeah.
Georgiev, yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so this could be a little bit more of a frustrating game offensively because both of these teams want to do the same thing with their backfield duos and not really take a lot of chances in the passing game and use the running game to set up the passing game. But what it does set up is Look, the Giants, the New York teams, right? We'll talk about the Giants. The Giants just beat the Packers. The Jets, this season isn't going as planned for the Jets in so much as they're winning. And Robert Saleh is saying, got the receipts, and I'm going to keep track of who's saying this season's not going the way it was supposed to go for the Packers either.
No.
And going up against the Jets, who really humbled, and I know it was Skylar Thompson, who we are going to see start again this week. The Jets could be humbling a lot of teams this year, and I think the Packers probably have some more. So you have one team coming in happy, and the flowers are opening up. The other team, it's raining. It's sad in Green Bay.
Well, and you have pressure, right? Pressure creates diamonds, but it also bursts pipes. And those pipes, who's your plumber? Who's your green? Aaron Rodgers, local commercials are the best commercials, right? Like what Folletti always say about the Mike Tice, like steak and shrimp. Yeah, exactly.
Commercials.
Yeah. So as Aaron Rodgers it'd probably be like Robert Tunyon, right? Hi, Robert Tunyon for Green Bay Plumbing.
Right.
Do you need your pipes cleaned? So yeah, pressure bursting those pipes in Green Bay, and the Green Bay side. Well, you could make it simpler. Yeah. And I know that it's like starting to come around with Rodgers and his receivers. Like we're starting to see some chemistry built there, but you could make it simple. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. Where's my pom-poms, Bloom? Because if you did that, it would work. But will Green Bay do that? And family rivalries are the best rivalries. My favorite dunk of my entire life, and yes, I used to be able to dunk, was when I dunked on my sister's head and ripped her backboard out of her garage and then left. Why? Because of the torment that because she was always like bigger than me, and both of my sisters were all-state athletes, and I was not on that level. So when I was able to do that, it was the greatest dunk of my life, even better than my first dunk. But it's family, right? It's family. Been watching Breaking Bad, Bloom. We're a family. Yeah.
They were so mean to Skylar. Speaking of Skylar, they're so mean. It's really, sometimes it's just gratuitous how mean the writers and I remember that show in real time and how people were turning against her in real time.
And they turned against and she did a great job.
She was like one of the only people trying to hold on to some sort of sanity or something in the situation. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, we're trying to hold on to our Packers players this week.
Yeah. And who are you playing other than Aaron Jones with confidence? Nobody, really. And even Aaron Jones, you're hoping for this ceiling game and not the floor game. And, this is a problem for Aaron Rodgers, not an automatic start. The deep pass isn't there for him. Allen Lazard is a low floor, low ceiling, maybe not a low floor guy because he is the quote unquote number one. He is getting enough targets, but not exactly encouraging trust from Aaron Rodgers. Maybe we should see Aaron Jones more in the passing game. You have Randall Cobb. Again, was it a good thing that Randall Cobb got so many targets or a sign? Speaking of that pressure, the pressure inside of Aaron Rodgers saying, I don't like throwing to these young receivers. I don't like how this is going. So Cobb and Dobbs, these are what the heck flex type plays. Dobbs dropped off the radar a little bit. AJ Dillon dropping off the radar. Cecil, you would have circled this one at the beginning of the season. Oh, yeah, the Packers at home against the Jets. They'll control that game. Dillon will get 20 carries, a touchdown, maybe more. And Dillon was supposed to be more involved in the passing game. He was barely involved in the game last week in the loss to the Giants. Big Bob Tunyon, he's just a what-the-heck tight end, not necessarily even an essential hold because this is an underperforming offense. This is an underperforming team. And one of the other things I want to point out here, the Packers defense on paper should be one of the best defenses in the league. But on the field, it looks like it's easy to get them, Cease. It looks like it's easy to get them to bite on everything, right? It looks like it's easy to get them to engage. Remember week 1 against Minnesota when we had to stay in zone because they were doing pre-snap motion. It looks like it's pretty easy to get them to take the bait or to otherwise do what you want them to do to set up what you want to do, even though they've got this tremendous talent throughout the defense, especially in the front seven. So this might be another successful day for the Jets and frustrating day for the Packers and LaFleur versus LaFleur.
And who comes out on top? Then to our next game, Bloom, and it can simply be described as, what were you doing last week? Yeah. Jacksonville, and then the Colts. So if you're the Colts, like, can you build momentum? Can you yourself look to a quarterback change? Right, you got Nick Foles over there. I seriously thought in that game against the Broncos, and my rants have to be organic, everybody. I can't just summon that up.
That's right.
I gotta be organic, and trust me, it's almost always there.
Always be there. Right.
But like with the Colts side, we'll get to them a little bit, but like quarterback change might be coming. We talk about that with other teams. Let's talk about Jacksonville. No quarterback change, but hey, youngster, don't hang on to the ball. Don't be so reckless with the football, and get your targets. Get more Kirk. Get more Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. Right, the bye week gauntlet. What are you doing with James Robinson, Bloom? Yeah. Hasn't been real nice over the last couple of weeks. Travis Etienne seems to be emerging a little bit, as much as you can there. And with Jacksonville, you have a real opportunity here within your division.
You do. This is our first rematch of the year. We've already seen these two teams play, and it was 24-0 Jacksonville, down in Jacksonville. And this is a showdown. The team that wins this game should feel okay about their prospects. Some team from the AFC South is going to go to the playoffs. Why not the team that wins this game? Certainly, if you're Jacksonville and you sweep Indianapolis, you get a road win. You're feeling good, but they're not feeling good right now because what happened? What happened? Losing to the Texans. Trevor Lawrence, all the confidence. We could have written off the Philly game. Philly's great, was played in rain. No rain in Jacksonville last week. So Indianapolis defense is tough. Remember what Indianapolis did to Kansas City. So again, it's trying to figure out what these teams are. Indianapolis, they're not good. Well, they beat Kansas City. Jacksonville, they don't seem like they're a good team, but they thumped the Chargers. You need to get this offense going. It's probably going to be short passing. James Robinson and Travis Etienne. With the long touchdown runs aren't coming now, you're seeing Robinson in more of a 50-50 split with Etienne, maybe even favoring a little bit to Etienne. And this is not a game that you expect Jacksonville to pull away. Really, where we thought Jacksonville was a good team after they went to LA and thumped the Chargers, now we're just not sure. So you're not sure you're going to get that James Robinson game script. I think actually Etienne's probably the play over Robinson this week. Why? Well, here's why. You have Stephon Gilmore probably on Marvin Jones Jr., right? You've got Christian Kirk's going to be facing Kenny Moore. I'm not saying bench Christian Kirk, but he's more of a what the heck flex than the wide receiver one he looked like 3 weeks ago, scoring wise. So is it Zay Jones? We might not be healthy. Is it Evan Ingram? You certainly think with Shaquille Leonard and some of the issues in the middle of the field, it could be an Evan Ingram game. But it comes back to Travis Etienne. And Cecil, I think if we're looking at a rational game plan from Press Taylor and Doug Peterson, who's the explosive player? Who's the only player in this offense, honestly, that can create on his own? It's probably Travis Etienne. So I think Etienne, I don't know if he's a sleeper. So I don't know if I would call him a sleeper at this point because everybody's been watching him really closely. He was drafted in the 4th round draft. So how's a sleeper a 4th round pick? But if the Jags are rational, especially on that turf up in Indy, I think this is a game where you focus, you highlight Travis Etienne and his speed, and you get in the open field because I don't know how much else is going to be there against this pretty good defense.
Jacksonville is going to be like Dante and Clerks. I'm not even supposed to be here today. So, Bloom, it's week 6, but doesn't it feel like we've played 3 seasons?
Sure.
Like there's certain teams, the Colts, the 49ers you talked about earlier, Jacksonville. It seems like these teams, there are incarnations where it's like, they're great, they're awful. They're okay, they're awful. They're great.
Yeah,
well, 6 weeks.
I think again, it's an emotional game. First and foremost, it's an emotional game, not physical, not intellectual or strategic. And secondly, I just think that what we're seeing is how much matchups matter and how one team can just make you look feeble and powerless, and another team you can make them look feeble and powerless because of the way the teams are coached, because of the schemes, because of just the blind spots and weaknesses of certain coaches. And I think that especially becomes interesting when we get into these matchups within a division where these teams see each other 2, sometimes even 3 times in a season.
Speaking of feeble and powerless, what's wrong with Jonathan Taylor? We had a question on Facebook. I think it was Brian that was like, what do I do with Taylor? Well, I'm stubborn, Bloom. And I would always go with Taylor. Like if he's out there, I'm going to go with him. I spent too much to get him. But I also am going to lower some expectations. But this week at home, Jacksonville, maybe some momentum after last week's, I guess, win. Well, you didn't lose.
Yeah, win.
Yeah,
exactly.
What's the win? I think.
Is there such thing as a moral loss instead of a moral victory?
Either way, what are you doing with your Colts this week?
Yeah. Well, if Jonathan Taylor's on the field, you have to play him. But this is going to be an interesting one because if Jonathan Taylor plays and he has another 2-point-something yards per carry, doesn't get a touchdown, is that it? You're at a fork in the road with Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor, sometimes we talk about players in drafts like this. That he's either going to be worth a lot more than he's worth right now, like back to his top 5, top 3 value, or you're going to wish you traded him. You're going to wish you traded him before the next game he plays because maybe it's just not going to happen for him. It's Jonathan Taylor. He's still on the upslope of his career. I'd be more inclined to say trade for him than trade him away, but it's a decision week in some ways. Jacksonville's defense is still solid. Nothing came easy for the Texans, and even against the Eagles, this isn't a team where you say the defense is a weakness, and it's also coming along. So this looks like, this is going to look like that Indy-Denver game that we just watched on Thursday night. I think nothing's going to come easy. Matt Ryan is 1 step, 2 steps out on the plank. He's out on the plank, all right? So Nick Foles is there waiting below deck. And otherwise, if we don't see Taylor, we're going to see, I guess, maybe Nyheim Hines, a few extra days to recover from a concussion because it was Thursday, maybe Deion Jackson, maybe Phillip Lindsay, even Michael Pittman. Are you sure you're going to play Michael Pittman? Alec Pierce is coming on, and he was only getting 50-60% of the snaps. What if he's a full-time player? That's the guy Matt Ryan is looking to, and he's not giving him any reasons to look away from him. So we'll see. Again, this is a team that lost 24-0 to this Jacksonville team they're playing this week, but they also beat Kansas City in Indianapolis. So, I think that up and down nature, the seasons within a season, that's happening for the Colts. And see, maybe that's why Frank Reich looks so old now.
Yeah, it goes quickly. By the way, you know what Nick Foles is going to be like? He's going to be like Flint Flossie.
Flint Flossie?
And if you know Flint
Are you
Flossie,
making that
up? No, dude. If I introduce you to what is it, Turquoise Jeep Productions, like you're going to go down a rabbit hole. And for those that listen to the Audible, one, you're watching us here on YouTube. Thank you. Like, comment, share, subscribe. But if you listen, on every show, I put my little signature at the end of every show. And I put little drops, little notes, little whatever. And it may be something I'm saying about the show. It may be something I'm just saying about life. It may be something that I'm listening to. So I think I put some Flint Flossie in. But I think one of his, and this is, were you a fan of meme rap, Bloom?
Meme rap?
Meme rap. It was like 10 years ago when it started. These guys started in Atlanta, and Flint Flossie and Young Humma. They started with songs like Treat Me Like a Pirate. Give me that booty, right? That's what Nick Foles is going to be like. Treat me like a pirate. And then Smang? There's some songs I can't go into for Sorry Joe purposes, but yeah, just look up Flint Flossie.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
I think
underground hip hop, man.
I think I'm gonna get a Flint Flossie as my favorite rapper shirt, even though it's like 10 years past.
That's okay. We're old.
They were big. Yeah, we're old. Whatever. I can wear it ironically, right?
Yeah, and besides, everything comes back every 20 years. So give it 10 years, and
I'll be ahead of the curve. Be like, Flint Flossie, from 2012. Sure. Anyway, Minnesota, Miami up next here on the Audible, and Minnesota side first. Okay, Dalvin, you're still doing it, so you're still trusting him, trotting out there with those shoulder injuries. Adam Thielen, did we shut down Adam Thielen?
No,
she wasn't shutting him down. He was a hold on.
Yeah, hold on. Well, he wasn't even a hold on. I hope that people are keeping him, but
okay. Well, it's a conversation point to be sure. We'll see Justin Jefferson go off. Miami side of things are going to be complicated. Bloom. We'll step through that in just a little bit. But let's talk about how these Vikings will go down to Florida and try to attack the Dolphins.
I've dabbled with this earlier, but I do want to always recognize when we have a rematch of a Super Bowl, because we don't get many of those, right? And this is a Super Bowl that none of us remember. Well, I'm sure some of the people listening to the show remember. Minnesota and Miami actually did play the year after the perfect 72 season for the Dolphins. And the Super Bowl MVP, first running back to ever win the Super Bowl MVP, Larry Zonka. Yeah, Syracuse. And Hunter Thompson actually covered that one and wrote Fear and Loathing at the Super Bowl. It was down in Houston. It was at Rice Stadium. Anyway, the reason I'm talking about this is because it's Minnesota's offense. Minnesota's offense is going to be Justin Jefferson. So every week, Cecil, we're going to go into the game. We're going to play Dalvin Cook. You got your touchdowns from him last week. You're going to go to the game and say, can this team handle what Justin Jefferson brings, what this offense brings. And if not, as you saw, they're just going to keep going to him. Pew, 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 pew. I don't think Miami can handle Justin Jefferson. I don't think this is the kind of defense that, Xavier Howard's banged up, Byron Jones still not playing. And this is a team that did play the Rams with Jared Goff a few years back. I think that Kupp had like 11 for 100 in that game. It was a game where they had a long punt return touchdown by Jakeem Grant. There was a long fumble return in that one. So they were really able, I think Goff threw something like 61 passes in that game. So I don't think you're going to see Kirk Cousins throw the ball 61 times. I do think you're going to see Justin Jefferson have success. So like you said, Adam Thielen, not a shut him down, a hold on, because in the games where Justin Jefferson can be contained, then you're liking Adam Thielen, maybe even Irv Smith, but not so much this week. I think this is pretty straightforward. I think it is going to be a big Justin Jefferson week. And by the way, the Vikings are 4-1. The Vikings are on track right now. So don't blow it. Don't lose this game against a Miami team that will be starting officially, or at least they expect to start their third string quarterback.
Their third string quarterback, who's first string in Matt Waldman's heart. And, listen to Matt Waldman, everybody. Because let's take, for example, I saw Skylar Thompson at the Shrine game. Then the next week I saw Bailey Zappi, and I was like, it's not even close. It's not, and I understand that's not a high bar. He's better than Bailey Zappi, everybody. Like, no, there's talent here. There's an injury history that reads like infinite jest, Bloom. But there's a lot of talent there with Skylar Thompson. Now, what about his talent in Tyreek Hill? Is he going to be out there? Again, Wednesday morning, we're recording. We're going to watch the injury report, see what's going on with Tyreek. Jalen Waddle, what's there for Waddle? Skylar Thompson has no fear as a passer. I don't think he's reckless, but he's not timid either. And if you're going to run the ball like the Dolphins can run the ball, not with Chase Edmonds, but if you can run the ball like that, that's going to set up your young quarterback nicely to take those deep shots, take those dagger shots, and he will throw them. He will not just check down all day. So what kind of performance are we expecting? It's Miami at home, and this could be a debut, official starting debut, that maybe changes. I don't want to get too hyperbolic, Bloom. But if Thompson does good enough, this could change the trajectory of the franchise.
Well, it's certainly a chance for him to plant some ideas. Now, again, because it's Miami Dolphins and we're commemorating Super Bowl, and it's Syracuse. It's my prerogative, Cecil, as a Syracuse grad. I do want to tell from Larry Zonka's Wikipedia page. He wasn't even supposed to be a running back, Cecil. He was a defensive end in high school. In the last game of the season, he was sent in as a substitute on the kick return team, and the ball just happened to go with him, and he started running. And he said, this is Zonka, I ran over 2 tacklers before I realized what I was doing. I didn't score or save the game, but I got a tremendous feeling carrying the ball. I was thrashing around, trying to run 6 ways at once. I loved it. I knew then that I wanted to run with the ball. And even after that, the teammates were like, you're not a running back. You're too big. You're too slow. And they let him do it, and the rest is history. He went to Syracuse, and even in Syracuse, he was a middle linebacker the first year. And they said, yeah, maybe you can be the heir to guys like Jim Brown and Ernie Davis and Floyd Little. And I bring this up, Cecil, because just a couple of weeks ago, Miami Dolphins fans had visions of these Super Bowl teams, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, boy, what happened? It's, again, a season within a season, right? Whew, this team, after they beat Buffalo, bring on the world. And well, not so much. You got your third string quarterback, but like you said, Cease, if they can scrape out a win here, if Skylar Thompson can make some plays with a week to prepare, to be prepared as the starter, yeah, interesting stuff. From a fantasy standpoint, you're going to play Raheem Mostert because I think that has to be the game plan here is Raheem Mostert in this running game. You know, always have risk of him leaving the game with an injury. I'm going to be watching to see if Myles Gaskin gets in the game before Chase Edmonds. I'm not really sure how this depth chart is going to shake out. And then Tyreek Hill's banged up. Jalen Waddle probably less banged up than Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying to bench them because, you know, you bench Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle in a game like this, you get cute with it and you see one of them bust off that 70-yard touchdown. What was I thinking? And Skylar Thompson's good enough. He's good enough, okay? He's not going to be overwhelmed. So I think you still got to play them. Obviously, you have lower expectations here. And that's where we're at. I think that Miami, this win, if they can win with their third-string quarterback and see what's happening with Tua, maybe you restore some of that optimism you had just a few weeks ago. If you lose this one, it's like you said, it start to look long-term picture. And it's so whiplash striking how emotionally things change so quickly within an NFL season.
Yeah, that's why you never get too high with the highs, never get too low with the lows. Just steady as she goes. Is that another pirate reference? Yeah. You got to listen to Flint Flossie. And by the way, with the chat room lighting up, like they know Flint Flossie, I was like, this is why like vibration and like, you know, the same type of energy wavelength. Like if you're attracted to the show, if you're attracted to us, then you're also our, because I can't believe I bring up Flint Flossie and people know who that is. Like, that's awesome. It's awesome.
You're incredible. Chat room.
What is the vibration like down in New Orleans, Bloom? It's Cincinnati and New Orleans, the final game we're going to preview here in part 1 of the Week 6 preview on the Audible. Bengals side of things. Okay, Cincinnati. Is T. Higgins going to play? If he does, great. If he doesn't, more Tyler Boyd. More Jamar Chase is always good. Joe Mixon, obviously Joe Burrow protecting him. We know what the Bengals should do. What can they do against the Saints coming up on Sunday?
The story for the Bengals right now is getting used to playing against cover 2 defense and calling plays and having an approach that's going to work for cover 2 defense, which means not Joe Burrow barnstorming, not Joe Burrow leaving himself in the line of fire to try to make these amazing plays. And you asked me what the vibe would be down here in New Orleans. For this game, I think it's conflict because on one hand, everybody trucks with LSU, and Joe Burrow was the author of probably the greatest LSU season ever. But on the other hand, it's the Saints. It's the Saints. Who dat? So some conflict here. It should be quite a scene. The Bayou Bengal became a Bengal and came back down to Southeast Louisiana. So you got to be cover 2. That's Joe Mixon. Maybe a little more Samaje Perine. Still a very deep, more of a desperation play than a true what the heck flex. But just watch. It still has something to offer. And you're going to attack cover 2 defense with running game, short passing, discipline. Now, on the other hand, New Orleans did give up 3 long touchdowns last week to Geno Smith and Seattle. So if T. Higgins is out there, maybe T. Higgins comes through. We're going to watch that. Otherwise, yes, you're going to keep playing Jamar Chase, but you're lowering expectations. Yes, maybe it's Hayden Hurst. Makes sense. In a more disciplined, take what the defense gives you. Isn't Hayden Hurst who the defense is going to give you? A la Austin Hooper, a la Dalton Schultz.
Right.
So you like Hayden Hurst this week, assuming the rational approach with Cincinnati having to bring it back in, just like Patrick Mahomes last year. Joe Burrow, you can't be trying to score 14 or 21 points on every play. This team is 2-3. They need this. Remember, they almost started out 0-3. They need this game. The Saints need this game. And of course, the Saints are fawning and basking in the beginning of the Taysom Hill era. Again, the re-beginning. We're back.
Yeah, we are back. We are back with Taysom Hill and, well, Andy Dalton, as Kluge says in the chat room, Dalton revenge game. There you go. Yeah. All right. Well, how's that revenge cooked up? And by the way, why are the Saints letting running backs go? Because there's the Saints that the running backs they're losing are like the hottest commodities in football.
Right.
What is there, like 3 or 4 teams, including the Broncos again?
Right. Someone pick up Tony Jones. Someone claimed Tony Jones. Oh,
yeah. When Seattle claimed him, there was also a claim by the Broncos and another team. And then, of course, the Latavius Murray thing. And Murray chose to leave New Orleans because he saw opportunity in Denver. That's for part 2. But let's talk about these Saints and that Dalton revenge game.
Yeah, opportunity in Denver. Well, Taysom Hill, right? I mean, you keep playing him as a tight end, and why not? I think at the very least, and Sean Payton is not on the staff anymore, but you can really see the tactical advantage this gives now. I mean, the whole league is probably cursing the teams that have to play New Orleans, probably cursing the Seahawks for allowing Taysom Hill to run wild the way he did last week. And especially go back and watch the way the Seahawks defense looked when Taysom Hill threw the touchdown pass to Adam Troutman. It's like they forgot he's allowed to throw. Oh yeah, he can throw the ball too. And he actually has some experience throwing the ball. This isn't just truly a gadget play. So now, you only have a few days to prepare every week for a game, right?
Yeah.
How much of your time do you spend on those Taysom Hill plays?
Yeah.
How much of your time do you make sure that mentally your defense is ready? You don't have to waste timeouts. and you don't get embarrassed. So, yeah, keep going with Taysom Hill, but I think that the Saints coaching staff might be subtle enough to know that some weeks you use that to your advantage, and when you put Taysom Hill out there, you run something else off of that, probably involving Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara looked great. Andy Dalton, as John Sigler thought, Andy Dalton would be great for Kamara, get the short passing game. You don't really have to throw downfield. Yes, Chris Olave had a touchdown last week, but if Michael Thomas is back, I guess you play Michael Thomas knowing there's risk, and you're not sure about Chris Olave, because in this game, you may only see if everything stays on track. And again, the Bengals aren't running away from anybody this year. This is a game where Andy Dalton throws the ball 20, 25 times. That's how he serves up the revenge, by playing a lesser role in the offense. Here, I'll show you. They're not going to rely on me, and we're going to beat you. Yeah. And, I think that's what you're looking at here. And again, this Bengals defense isn't as tough as last year. As we watched them march to the Super Bowl, every week 2 or 3 different guys were making a play, and new 2 or 3 from the week before. It's not so much clicking. Yes, they got a win when they knocked Tua Tagovailoa out of the game. They almost beat Baltimore last week. I think that's your rallying cry, but winning in the Superdome is tough.
It's tough in the voodoo that you do down there in the Big Easy. We'll see what they do. Bloom, where's K1 at? Because I know we're up to his favorite portion of the show. It's our ever popular Sleeper of the Week.
It's time for the Sleeper of the Week, powered by Sleeper.
Okay, Bloom, earlier in the show, I was like, you stole my guy, but it's Tevin Coleman. He's all of our guys, right? For Sleeper of the Week, when you talk about needing that, throw him in there. Whoa, what the hell? See what I can get. 49ers against the Falcons. It could go quite the way of the 49ers. So much so, they're like, let's give Tevin Coleman some more work. Even if it were to be a close game, Tevin Coleman would still be my Sleeper of the Week. And part 1 of the Week 6 preview, Bloom, who's your Sleeper of the Week?
Yeah, I'll go back to Travis Etienne, and I know he may not qualify as a sleeper, etc. But I think that what Travis Etienne highlights for us when we're looking for the Sleeper of the Week, brought to you by Sleeper, is a player where, and again, we can't count on rational coaching, but if there is rational coaching, this is an offense that couldn't really get the engine to turn over last week against the Texans. They have one explosive player in their offense. Time to highlight that player.
Time to highlight that player, and time to wrap up today's show. We certainly appreciate you, your love, your energy. Bloom's going to skip out on work so we can watch Flint Flossie. Anyway.
No, I'm watching baseball, Atlanta and Philadelphia. That's Jordan rules, man. Look it up. Jordan rules last night. Poor Seattle Mariners fans. And the Padres almost did it against the Los Doyers.
Baseball. That's so funny. To me, Bloom. Sorry.
It's a pastime.
It's past, so that's for sure.
Cue the George Carlin thing about football versus baseball. That's it.
Right. There you go. He's Sigmund Bloom. I'm Cecil Lammey. We are the Audible, everyone. Do all those YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And watch the video to the end, please. Thank you. Stay tuned. Stay frosty.